Hey, what's up guys? This is Speg, and welcome to another video in my Halo 2 Anniversary Legendary walkthrough. This episode, I'll be covering one of, if not the toughest level in the campaign, Gravemind.
What is that?
Am a monument to all your sins.
Relax. I'd rather not piss this thing off.
Demon. This one is machine and nerve, and has its mind concluded. This one is but flesh and faith, and is the more deluded.
Kill me or release me, parasite. But do not waste my time with talk.
There is much talk, and I have listened through rock and metal and time. Now I shall talk, and you shall listen.
Greetings. I am 2401 Penitent Tangent. I am the monitor of Installation 05.
And I am the Prophet of Regret, Council of Most High, Hierarch of the Covenant.
A reclaimer? Here? At last. We have much to do. This facility must be activated if we are to control this outbreak.
Stay where you are. Nothing can be done until my sermon is complete.
Not true. This installation has a successful utilization record of 1.2 trillion simulated and 1 actual. It is ready to fire on demand.
Of all the objects our lords left behind, there are none so worthless as these oracles. They know nothing of the great journey!
And you know nothing about containment. You have demonstrated complete disregard for even the most basic protocols.
This one's containment, and this one's great journey are the same. Your prophets have promised you freedom from a doomed existence, but you will find no salvation on this ring. Those who built this place knew what they wrought. Do not mistake their intent, or all will perish as they did before.
This thing is right. Halo is a weapon. Your prophets are making a big mistake.
Your ignorance already destroyed one of the sacred rings, demon. It shall not harm another.
If you will not hear the truth, then I will show it to you. There is still time to stop the key from turning, but first it must be found. You will search one likely spot, and you will search another. Fate had us meet as foes, but this ring will make us brothers.
We are, all of us, gravely concerned. The release of the parasite was unexpected, unfortunate, but there is no need to panic. In truth, this is a time to rejoice. A moment that all the Covenant should savor. For the sacred icon has been found. With it, our path is clear, our entry into the divine beyond guaranteed. The great journey is nigh, and nothing, not even the flood, can stop it.
Boo.
Kill the demon!
can kill those brutes, the better. They don't have shield generators, but take them out before... It's berserking!
As soon as you're out of the cutscene, you'll have a couple of brutes firing on your position while you're standing out in the open. That's one of the most annoying aspects to this mission. Once you survive that, you'll have a few grunts that will come in. You can mop them up pretty quickly with a brute plasma rifle.
The demon has infiltrated the council chamber. Protect the hierarchs. Seal the exits.
Oh, I don't think so.
There's a couple of decent ways to handling the council chamber combat. The first I'm going to demonstrate is to get behind one of these locked doors, which reveals a little small hallway behind it. This works well if you don't have yourself a plasma or a Covenant carbine in your possession. And I would at least hang out in the space for the first couple of waves. If you need to come out and grab additional weapons or ammo, leave one enemy alive so that you can do so. By killing the final enemy, you'll trigger the next wave to spawn in. So in the second wave there is a brute that did have a carbine, so I do want to grab it before I trigger the third wave to spawn in. And there it is. Now this is the next best way to hold out in the council chamber. Just climb the stairs and get to the uppermost level on one side of the room.
Watch out for the captain. It's got a brute shot.
In this third wave you'll have one brute with a brute shot, as well as a couple more brutes and a few grunts. By this point you definitely don't want to be in an enclosed space having to fight this brute. Now something I do right here is anticipate where the next two brutes are gonna spawn in. By the time you're down to 2 enemies in that third wave, a couple more brutes will spawn with Covenant carbines on the upper level. In some instances, both of them can spawn on the same side as you, or in my case you can get one brute on each side of the room. And then there's also the case that both brutes spawn on the opposite side. Out of personal preference, I do like having one brute on each side so that I can collect some ammo for the Covenant Carbine. Upon completing the third wave, you'll have 2 more waves that are identical to the first 2.
Put me down on one of the pedestals near the door.
When Cortana chimes in, that means you'll have completed this section.
That prophet, Truth, he has the index. You've got to take it from him. Let me get these doors. Go. It'll be easier to track Truth if I stay in the network.
As you're leaving the council chamber, a few grunts will come in and investigate the scene. I would just pull out your carbine and headshot each of them. As you're navigating this room, there are a couple of brutes with carbines towards the upper level. Kill one of them, the other will usually go into a rage. And there's also going to be a grunt sitting on a turret, but he's not so much of an issue. Just outside the store, you'll have a couple of honor guards. You can use the needlers against them, or you can chuck some grenades if you want to have a little bit more fun. Up ahead, there are a few grunts that will come up this grav lift, and a few of them have turrets in their possession. If you kill them quickly enough, they won't have time to set them up. And following them, you'll have a couple more brutes. Again, just headshot them with a carbine. And there's also a brute captain with a brute shot. On lower difficulties, that'll be your first encounter with such a brute.
Truth is moving through the lower levels of the tower. I'll reverse this grav lift. Drop down, try to cut him off. It's safe, really. Just step in. After that stunt on the Cairo, I know you're not afraid of heights.
So as you're going down the grav lift, you will have a jackal sniper waiting by this doorway. Make him your top priority before you take on the other forces.
Reinforce all approaches to the holding pens. Slay the demon on sight.
Keeping up their patrols. Stay sharp.
As you're navigating this stretch of hallway, much of the combat is fairly similar to what you've dealt with throughout much of the game up to this point. I would advise just taking your time through this part and picking off the brutes from range. I wasn't expecting to actually land that assassination. I would probably have died from that first charge.
Wait a minute. I'm reading marine IFF transponders. The signals are originating somewhere below your position. Wow!
At this intersection, there are a couple of jackals that will spawn behind you, so I like to move forward to trigger that, and then just hang out at this juncture while I take on some of the initial brutes and grunts. Use the carbine as much as you have to. There is quite a bit of ammo for this weapon throughout the level.
There's another lift in the next room.
In this next circular room, there are a handful of brutes. One or two of them may have brute shots, and the rest will usually have brute plasma rifles. If you still got the beam rifle, I would just use it up for this part. When the room is all clear, you can make your way all the way to the back and grab yourself a fresh beam rifle and pick up any carbine ammo.
Here, Chief, jump in.
There are 2 groups of Marines in this detention block. I'll zero their locations. You neutralize the guards. Quietly.
As you come down the grav lift, stick those 2 brutes right away and then make yourself into cover. You want to be fairly quick because you'll have grunts and jackals also on this upper level with you.
inside. Careful of the guards.
Now, the two Marine groups that Cortana mentioned earlier, they're both going to be on different levels. One will be on the lower level, and one will be on the middle level. Depending on your playthrough, you can usually get the group on the middle level first, and then rescue the one on the lowest level. But whichever happens to be the case, it really doesn't make a difference to how much easier or more difficult this part is. I'm trying to figure out what happened to that raging brute, because no, I didn't kill him, and I didn't see him go off the edge, unless if it happened off screen. And there he is, he's just hiding. Okay, so now that I've cleared out the initial wave blocking this first group of Marines, what I'm going to do is set up a crate right in front of this doorway so that the Marines, after I rescue them, they don't have a chance to follow me through. The reason I do this is just to keep them alive a little longer. I would pick up a brute shot if you can find one off the crates or one of the enemies you've killed. When you have it close enough to the door, tip it over on its side, like so, and then just try to position it in front of the doorway. Try not to leave a gap large enough where the Marines can slip through. If you do that, you'll be in good shape. This cell is the easiest one to clear out because you'll just have one brute on patrol with 4 sleeping grunts, and you can melee all of them.
Listen up, Marines. The Chief's hunting a prophet, and you're gonna help him kill it.
No sense sticking around here!
One more group of Marines to go, Chief.
Come to the middle level, Chief. More guards, get ready.
Going after him! Talk about it.
So if you need a chance to retreat, just come back into the cell block where you rescued the Marines. You can hold out against the brutes and the jackals from in here. Unfortunately, you could lose some Marines in the process if they start chucking grenades or firing off a brute shot in here with you.
Look out! Well, goodbye. Sorry, Brooks, a little sweaty. Not so tough now, huh? ¿Cómo está?
Within this next prison block, there is a brute with a brute shot at the far end, with a couple more jackals in there with them. If you kill the brute first, the 2 jackals will not be so much of an issue, especially if you have both or if you have 2 or 3 marines with you.
That's all of the Marines, Chief. Good work.
We'll get out of here the same way we came in, the central grav lift.
On your way out, you'll have at least a couple squads to fight before you can reach the grav lift.
Hostile reinforcements coming down the lift.
Now, something weird can happen during this part is that the reinforcements that drop down can kill themselves from direct impact. It's a very weird thing.
New contact! Hey, where'd you park the motorbike?
Before you leave the area, make sure you pick up your beam rifle wherever you dropped it off. Me, I had to go all the way back to the lower level to grab mine.
Lift is clear. Step on in.
Fear not, my brothers, the sacred icon is secure. It was Tartarus and his brutes who took the icon from the flood. For that they have our thanks.
Excellent. Truth is broadcasting on the move. It'll make it much easier to track.
So exiting this room, you'll have some elites that'll try to pour in, as well as a few drones.
You know what? You're a sandwich short of a pig. See that? Do it like a son of a gun!
You can try to lead in with the beam rifle to take on the elite with the carbine, and then take on some of the drones. And then your marines can do a pretty decent job mopping up with their carbines. And now if I keep these marines alive with me through a good part of the mission, they're gonna make life a lot easier on my end.
Took the words right out of my mouth! Grenade! Okay, everyone be cool.
As you clear this section, grab a couple of plasma rifles or brute plasma rifles and fire on the drones that pour through this doorway.
Nice, mate.
If you do a decent enough amount of damage, your Marines can clean them up pretty nicely.
The elites have failed to protect the prophets, and in so doing put all our lives at risk. Let no warrior forget his oath. Thou and faith will keep us safe whilst we find the path.
I've got a fix on food just outside this tower. There's an exit nearby. Hurry.
Coming upon this room, there are a couple of hunters on patrol. With these guys, I would just try to use the beam rifle if you have it, and snipe them in the back. Try to hit their orange spot, of course.
My blessing, the brutes now lead our fleets. They ask for your allegiance, and you shall give it.
You wouldn't believe the number of kill systems the Covenant are throwing down around me. Not to worry, it's pretty sloppy stuff. I guess they never expected a hostile intelligence to penetrate their network from the inside.
At this outdoor section, there are 4 Jackal snipers overlooking the premises. I took out 3 pretty quickly, and then there's also a 4th one to my left. Now, I would have killed that one a little bit faster if my Marines weren't in the way. With whatever Marines you have left, you can try to equip them with beam rifles at this time. There's going to be quite a few of them in this area. It's even better yet if you have all 5 of your Marines at this time, which is pretty hard to do for this level. But it's definitely possible on this difficulty and on lower difficulties to keep them alive for a good while. Now, if the brutes don't kill the enemies down below, there is one hunter that is roaming around in this pit. But sometimes you may not have to fight him at all, which is pretty nice.
Creatures of the Covenant, the path is broad and we shall walk side by side.
Slip space rupture. It's in amber clad.
Be glad.
Hailing. No response. She's crashed into another tower ahead of our position. I'll keep trying to make contact, but I'm not registering any human vital signs.
On the other side, on this platform, you'll have one Jackal sniper on patrol. And then a squad of 2 elites and 2 grunts will follow in. A couple of brutes will also come in as well at this time. And they'll usually focus their attention on the elites first before they target you. Now this is a pretty cool fight. You can see that the elites are dogging it out against the brutes. And all these brutes are honor guard types, so they're going to be a little bit tougher to take out than your standard brutes. However, you can use either the beam rifle or the carbine to deal a decent amount of damage to them. As you cross this checkpoint, run back to the previous location up top. When you get to this spot, just look off towards the far end ahead, and you'll see that there are a couple of elites with jetpacks. This is a really good spot to use your beam rifle from. And if you still have your Marines alive at this time and they all have beam rifles, they can just take care of those elites for you. It's pretty fun to watch. Coming up here, you'll have another encounter with elites, grunts, and then some more brutes and jackals that will come across and engage. If you kill the elites, the brutes will normally pick off those grunts with ease. If that's the case, back away from the brutes. Don't give them an easy shot on you, of course.
At this moment, the councillors gather on Halo to see the icon sacred.
Rise, Pack Brothers! Cast down the elites!
There are those who said this day would never come. What are they to say now?
Once the towers are cleared, we'll drive them from the lower districts.
You'll want to be careful as you come into this space. There are going to be some elites in here fighting against the drones. And this is a fight that the elites can win even though they are outnumbered. When you've killed enough of them, some more brutes and jackals will pour in through the opposite doorway that we need to head through. If you have your beam rifle, use it up here because there is another stash of them.
I have listened to the Oracle, and it confirmed our deepest hope. The great journey begins with Halo.
The elites are falling back to the Mausoleum. Fools! Their Arbiter can do nothing to them now.
Who would doubt the prophets? What have we thought?
Now for this part you can have some fun with the energy sword against the grunts. If you want to be a little more daring, you can of course use it on the brutes. But again, be careful of their charging ability. At the top of this ramp, you'll have 3 brutes with brute shots, and I would just try to keep your range on these guys. They are very dangerous to face while you're going uphill. Take care of that sniper before you move in. And then clear out any enemies nearby, and then you can set yourself up here for the time being. Down below in this pit there's going to be some more brutes, and the elites will come through the door ahead, and they'll engage against these brutes. I wasn't expecting a brute to follow up to this location. If that's the case, then you're gonna have to try to fight these guys yourself. Now that some more brutes have poured in, they're gonna focus on the elites, and those elites went running back down, which is good. Towards the end of this part, there are a couple of elites with swords. You can snipe them with a beam rifle quite easily from range. And then pick off the grunts too. On your way out, make sure you pick up a fuel rod cannon from the grunt. Of course you can bring the beam rifle with you, but I especially want to save this fuel rod cannon for the end of this mission, which is pretty quick. In this area, there is an invisible elite. Sometimes you can try to stick him from range, or you can land a headshot on him with a beam rifle, or use the Covenant carbine and try a plasma combo him. What's really important about this area is there is a fuel rod cannon with several rounds in it, and that weapon I absolutely need for completing the last section in the Mausoleum. As for now, I'm going to grab this beam rifle, take it with me, so I can try to clear out this next room. As long as you pick up the fuel rod cannon, that weapon will not despawn on you. So make sure you do that before you cross this loading zone. So in this area, there are going to be a couple of elites initially, as well as a few grunts. And with this group, if you're on your own, I would definitely just keep at range. Try to use your position weapons against them. These Spec Ops elites do have the tendency to throw grenades in your direction, so that's something else to really keep in mind. So just like this elite, he'll chuck a grenade if you're within range. And I want to say that's the last elite in this room, but I don't want to speak too early. But as it seems, it looks like that was the final elite. At this present time, I would go back and pick up that fuel rod cannon before you move forward. Coming through this door, there is going to be a couple of jackals as well as a regular brute. And then you can drag forward your beam rifle.
If we're going to catch Truth, we'll need to take a shortcut, straight through the Mausoleum. Look on the bright side. For now, they seem much more interested in killing each other.
Something to keep in mind as you're exiting this place is there is one jackal sniper close to these brutes. This is going to be another fight between the brutes and the elites, so try to let them thin themselves out. Now, if I got lucky on this part, I would have rather had the elites win this fight. The drones and the brutes are gonna be more or less a pain to deal with. Try to figure out where the jackal sniper died and you can pick up his weapon. If you don't find that, you can also pick up a beam rifle off of the weapons cache down here. So move forward far enough to trigger those drones to spawn in. Then you'll have to deal with some brute or some elites and grunts on the far side. One of the grunts does have a fuel rod cannon, so make him your top priority before you take on any of the other enemies. So this weapons cache does have a beam rifle, or a couple of beam rifles. As you make your way to the top, you'll have a couple more hunters and some more grunts. Try to take on the hunters first before you take on the grunts. And by this point, hopefully you have a decent amount of rounds left in the fuel rod cannon that you picked up from earlier.
You might consider sitting this one out.
So coming into this room, there's going to be another major fight between the brutes and the elites. Now what I like to do for this one is to try to sneak up on these elites. You can land some melees on them. Something to keep in mind with these Spec Ops elites is that they do have the tendency to whip out their swords once they go into a enraged position. Heading further into the room, a couple more hunters will show up and try to engage the brutes. And you can let them take care of the dirty work for you. When the room is all clear, you can actually ditch your fuel rod cannon for the beam rifle before taking on this final group.
Hang on. I'm picking up 2 more transponders. It's the commander and Johnson. They're closing on...
For this last group, I like to set myself up here and try to take on these camo elites from range before they can close the gap. Normally these guys will try to charge my position, so I like to try to pick them off using the beam rifle. There's also one elite that will follow that initial group in, and he has a energy sword on hand, but energy sword elites in this game are definitely not a huge threat. If you have the beam rifle, 4 rounds on these guys will kill them. And that's from full shields. So if you're having trouble taking them on from close quarters with a sword or a fuel rod cannon, and they're just being dodgy, then you can just resort to sniping them. That'll always work.
flood, leaving in Amberclad's wreckage. Let's get the index and find a way out of here before things get really ugly.
Split them up, one in each phantom.
The hopes of all the Covenant rest on your shoulders, Chieftain.
My faith is strong. I will not fail.
Let him be. The great journey waits for no one, brother. Not even you.
Alright, and that is the end of Gravemind. So if you've managed to follow along in this campaign on Legendary and you've gotten this far, give yourself a huge pat on the back for this mission. It's definitely a rough one and has its tough encounters. Speaking from personal experience, this run that I did was definitely not one of my best runs for the game. Especially this mission. I've had better runs where I was able to clean up groups of enemies a lot better than how I kind of managed it here. Some things happened in the way that weren't exactly favorable, but I still managed to make the best of it, even though I kind of hoped that I would be able to clean this up a little bit faster and a little bit smoother. But anyway, if you're having some trouble with this level, keeping the Marines alive will help out a little bit, but by the time you get to the Mausoleum chamber, don't be surprised if you are down to a couple of allies, or if you don't have any at all. That can just as easily happen because there are so many ways the Marines can die throughout this mission. Anyway, I hope you all had a good time. Thank you all for tuning in on this video. I greatly appreciate all the support with these guides I'm doing, and hopefully I will catch you in a future episode. Hope you all have a good day or night.